What are our motivations for our loving relationships? And can these relationships be a tool for our personal and spiritual growth? Hi, Mark Gilbert here, and for the next few minutes I want to continue an exploration of love, a topic we started in our video entitled, What is Love? There I explored two key points. One is that we all know the experience of love, especially in how it's felt in our relationship with our romantic partner. But I also suggested that we should consider love a bit broader than just that feeling, seeing love as an evolutionary force, a force that's moving us to remember our oneness through our feelings for something or someone outside us. In this video, I also want to offer you another idea on the power of love, again going outside the norm on the topic. Here I'm asking you to consider how your primary loving relationship can be a spiritual developmental tool you can use to evolve. In a sense, to consciously use that evolutionary force of love for your own personal growth. To that end, let's consider the Greek concepts of Eros and Agape, two of the many kinds of love that they distinguished among, and how Eros and Agape relate to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, a topic we visited in another video. Now, that might sound all dry and academic, but I don't want you to see it that way. In all of us, let's never forget that we're driven by that desire to give and to receive that powerful feeling of love. Let's get to it with that feeling in our minds. So as I just mentioned, the ancient Greeks had different types of words for different types of love. And two of those words were Eros and Agape. Swedish theologian Anders Nygren argued in the early 20th century that the Greek Eros was an egocentric kind of love, one based on our meeting personal needs and desires. Hence, he said, when we love out of Eros, whether we love a god or another human being, we love out of personal self-interest in order to acquire and possess the object of our love. However, Nygren went on to describe love as agape as a self-giving and self-sacrificial kind of love. When we love out of agape, we reject all self-gain and personal interest, and instead surrender ourselves to the other, the object of our love. We love them purely for themselves. In modern times, we frequently label this kind of love as unconditional love. That is, my love of you is not conditional upon your doing anything for me. So think for a moment about the love you've experienced for another. Was it built on filling some hole you felt inside yourself? Some sense of lack? Or did you give your love conditionally, like a kind of bargain? If you love me and treat me this certain way, give me sex, buy me expensive things, feed my ego, and so on, then I'll love you in return. That kind of thing. If so, then your love was Eros-based, driven by personal interest. On the other hand, was your love something you simply gave from the fullness of your life with no strings attached? Was your desire to love the other based on simply loving them, supporting them, assisting them to become all that they could be as a human and spiritual being? If so, then you were experiencing the sense of love as agape. Although both forms of love are essential to our human experience, in a sense, Eros is a lower kind of love. It serves a useful purpose for connecting us to others, but once we learn and grow and develop and expand beyond simply fulfilling the egoic needs, we do move to higher stages of expression and experience in our lives, and that includes love, agape. This is similar to what I wrote about in my 2012 book, Be Yourself, Evolving the World Through Personal Empowerment. There I pointed out how we can use Maslow's needs levels to consider what's the motivation behind our love, and use this information as a tool for growth. Note that in considering what's offered here, you may want to review the video on Maslow, especially the concepts offered there on lower-level deficiency needs and the higher so-called being needs. In any case, in that book I suggested that you consider what your underlying motivations might be in your interactions with your primary love life, either in your relationship with a specific person or in your approach to creating such a relationship if you're currently not in one. When one first learns the needs levels of Maslow's hierarchy, it's typical to think that your motivation to create or maintain a loving relationship comes from the so-called love and belongingness needs level. It may be, but it's not necessarily so. In reality, there are multiple needs levels that can be at play in what's pushing you into the relationship. For example, you may be seeking or staying in a relationship because you want to have sexual pleasure. That's a physiological need. You may feel you need the other person's income to survive, a safety and security need. You may believe your friends and family expect you to be in a serious relationship, and they'd think less of you if you weren't, a love and belongingness need. You may believe your sense of self-worth relates to being in a relationship, and that you would be a failure if you weren't in one, a self-esteem need. In each case, the person's motivated to be in a significant loving relationship, but the underlying needs coming from different levels. There is, however, one similarity. No matter what the level, you want the relationship because you believe it will fill a lack in you. It's the belief stated in the old line from the movie Jerry Maguire, "You complete me." But that belief is simply wrong. The truth is, you don't need anyone to complete you. Consider what happens if I have a lack that you're supposed to be filling and then you don't. What if you grow and change? What if you decide to leave me? If you threaten my survival by withholding my meeting of my needs, I might lash out at you. How dare you try to leave me? I need you. Of course, when I think I need you in order to be okay with myself, I'm motivated by a sense of deficiency and lack, and it can make me desperate. On the other hand, the healthiest relationships occur when the underlying motivation comes from a desire for self-actualization or transcendence of our humanness. Here, we've moved into the being needs. We don't sense a lack within ourselves and therefore don't require the other person to meet a deficiency. We're whole and complete just as we are, and at this stage, our motivation's not to get something from someone, but rather to give of ourselves to another. We love the other person and want them to live the highest possible life they can. We're there to support them and encourage them and to love them. We're not there to cling to them or limit them in any way. You know, paradoxically, we have to be okay if they decide they don't want to be with us anymore. Because even though it may emotionally hurt us, what's more important is that they're happy in living their dreams. We want them to live a self-actualized life, even if apart from us, more than we want to live in a world where they would sense us limiting them. So let's summarize. When our sense of love is tied to a sense of lack, when we're clinging to the other because we don't feel okay with ourselves without the other, then we're experiencing the Eros type of love, and we're coming from the lower deficiency needs using Maslow's hierarchy. Yet on the other hand, when our sense of love is coming from a sense of fullness in our lives, where we know we're already complete and don't need another person to feel this sense of completeness, and from this sense of love, we know we want the best for the other person with no limits, no conditions, no attachments, then we've developed to a higher kind of love, to agape, to where we're motivated by what Maslow described as our being needs. Now, we need to acknowledge that we may not consistently be motivated simply by one level. We may sometimes be coming from lower needs, such as wanting sex or our ego stroked. And sometimes we're coming from higher ones, such as where we simply want the best for the other. Our emphasis can change depending upon what's going on in our lives at a particular time. But we need to ask ourselves, what type of love would you rather experience more often? If you're truly interested in your personal and spiritual development, if you've come to believe that we're all one and all interconnected, if you truly want to live in a world that honors everyone and seeks to have them grow to their highest potential, then it's important that you recognize and use love as a developmental tool for your growth. Love truly is a gift that's calling to you. Now the question is, what are you going to do with that knowledge? How can you move from Eros to Agape? In a later video, we'll explore some ideas.